Hiya, Jimmy here. How you doing? If you haven't seen me before, I'm converting that standard Citroen Relay panel van into a hopefully stealthy camper van. Now I've been buying myself a solar power system, and I've bought the one with the dual battery controller, so it not only charges the leisure battery but also the starter battery. And in this video I'm going to show you how to wire it up so all the wires are concealed. I'll show you how to connect it up, I'll show you how to test it, and I'll show you it working. Well, this is the second solar power video, sort of a part two. In the first one, I described in very simple terms how a solar system works. I opened up my solar kit on camera and described all the components and told you what they did. I told you what other components were available. I told you why I picked the components that I picked. And if you know nothing about solar, it's probably wise for you to watch that one first. So what I'll do is I'll put a link in that corner, or it might be that corner, one of those corners, there'll be a link. And I'll also put a link at the end of the video, and I'll also put a link in the descriptions. So I would recommend you watch that one first. Now, just a little disclaimer. I do have a bit of experience on 12-volt auto electrics, but I'm not an expert on solar systems. This is the first one I've ever done. I will be referring to the instructions that I was given, but to be honest, they're not very good, and I don't 100% understand them. I do understand bits of them, and so in the bits that I don't understand, I'll be trying to work out. So just bear that in mind. Right, just before we get started, because I haven't finished my coffee yet, I'll tell you a bit about the system that I'm putting in. Starting with my batteries, my leisure battery is an AGM battery. It's 120 amp hour. It's located in the garage section, driver's side, right at the back of the van. My starter battery is just the ordinary battery that comes with any Citroen Relay. It's a 90 amp hour battery, and it's located in the footwell passenger side inside the car. The solar panel is a monocrystalline 120 watt solar panel. The solar controller is an MPPT dual battery controller, which means it not only supplies charge to the leisure battery, but it also charges the van battery. Now, it gives priority to the leisure battery, as in it gives 90% of the available charge to the leisure battery and 10% trickle charge to the van battery. Now, it's a 10 amp charger, so if it was working to its maximum, it would be giving 9 amps to the leisure battery and 1 amp to the starter battery. Right, I've finished my coffee, I've took my coat off, I'm ready for action. So what we're going to do first, we don't need the instructions yet, so what I think I'm going to do is I'm just going to put the wiring in, but we're not going to connect anything up. We're just going to run the wires in and leave the tails hanging for when we want to connect it. Now, I've already got the solar panel mounted onto the roof, and I've also got the gland that is a waterproof gland where the wire goes through the roof of the van from the solar panel to the controller. It's not cut to size or anything, I've just put it in. But what I'm going to do before I do any of that is I'm going to check to see if the solar panel is producing any electricity yet, because if it is, I'm going to put a bit of cardboard over the top to just in case you touch something. You're not going to get electric shock because it's not that electricity, it's low voltage, so you're not going to get a shock, but you could short it out and damage some of the components. So I'm going to test for any voltage first, because it's inside and it's not even a very sunny day, so there might not be any. But we'll try that first, and we'll take it from there. Right, this isn't ideal, it's a bit awkward. I don't know. So we've got the gland, can you see that? And the solar wires there. Now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put a voltmeter on the open circuit of the solar panel and see if it's producing anything. So I've got a multimeter, and it's just these two wires. You can't see them, the wires, and that one is the live, because it tells you on that little sticker there, and that's the male, that's the female, that's the male. So I think it's pretty much standard that the male is the live one. So we're just going to put a probe in there, there, and another. We got to turn that on first. I'll put that into there. Wow, that's 19 volts, 20 volts, 20.6 volts. That's amazing. As I say, the van's inside, and it's not. It's only April, and the sun's not that strong, and it's a cloudy day. I say we are inside, but I do have skylights, so I'm really pleased with that. If you're getting 20 volts in here, what are you going to get when it's outside? Brilliant. So what I'm going to do now, before I do anything else, is I'm going to put a bit of cardboard over the top of the solar panel, and then I'll check it again to see if it's producing any electric with the cardboard on. Right, I've just put the box that it came in, I've put that over the panels to stop the sunlight getting through to it, and we'll just do that test again. And that's, oh, we're still getting a trickle. It's just under a volt. Yeah, 9.9. No, not. Wow, that's up to 1.9. This panel's even producing electricity when it's covered up. Right, so that's cut it down quite a bit. There's still a little bit, so we'll just have to be careful. 1 volt's not a lot, and we'll just be careful. Right, I'll firstly apologise for the light in here. The van has got no batteries on it. I've taken them off to charge them up. They're at my house, so I can't put the ceiling lights on. So I've just rigged up this light, and it's not that good. This is the front driver's side. That's the driver's seat. This is the front driver's side, and the gland that you seen when I was on the roof comes through the roof about here, and the cable comes along. It's going to go behind there and along there to this solar controller. Now this solar controller is only there temporary at the minute. I'm not exactly sure where it's going to be. It's going to be in this corner somewhere, but it's going to be overhead cabinets here, and it's going to be inside the cabinet. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give it plenty cable so that I can mount it wherever I like. So I'm going to make that there. About there would be about right, because I bought the cable in a 10 meter length, and I'm going to cut it off as I need it. So there we go, we're going to cut that one off, so there's no going back now. And there we go, that's the first cut. Now the next thing I want to do is to run the I don't know if you can see very well. Right, I've made an executive decision. I'm not going to carry on with the wiring today because that lighting's terrible. You won't be able to see what I'm doing. So I'm going to knock the wiring on the head today. I'm going to try and do what I can, and I'll come back tomorrow and fit the batteries, so at least we'll have the ceiling lights on, so the light should be better. But what I'm going to do now before I go is, you can probably see that the battery isn't in, and what I've got to do is I've got to run a cable from the solar controller that I've just shown you through here down the doorpost and underneath the step to conceal it, and underneath the plastic and the carpets to the battery. You could run it on top of them if you were a cowboy, but much better if you can conceal the wiring. So what I'm going to do before I go, I'm going to take the step out and do as much as I can, and I'll come back tomorrow and start again. Well, it's now the next day and I've brought the batteries in, and I just want to update you a little bit because I made a slight mistake yesterday when I was telling you the specifications. There's my two batteries, and the Bosch one is the vehicle one and the AGM one is the leisure one, and the Bosch one is a 90 amp hour. I said yesterday it was 120. I was working off memory. I didn't have the batteries at the garage, and I couldn't have checked. Alright, also there's a little surprise in the cab. Does it look like, hang on, I'll get a light. Right, as you can see, don't laugh, I've had to take out the seat because when I got the step out, it didn't do me any favors really, so I've had to whoops, I don't know, I've had to disconnect the handbrake. I don't know if the camera's pointing in the right place. I've had to take all the handbrake off and seat out and everything, which I should have realised because that red wire there is the wire from the split charger, and I fitted that in 2019 because my memory being what it is, I'd forgotten all that. Now, if you didn't want to go to all the trouble of doing that, because it is quite a job and the seat weighs a ton, you could put it round the back. I know I said yesterday that would be a cowboy way of doing it, but it's only in the cab, so you could just route it round the back of the seat and go to the battery that way, and you wouldn't have had to take out all of that. But I have a funny sort of brain. My conscience won't let me do that. If I'd done that, it would be on my mind all the time, and I would rather do it the hard way and know I've done it right. But you don't have to. I wouldn't blame you if you didn't do all that. And of course, now's probably a good time to explain. If that's I've only had to do all of this because I'm putting in the dual battery system. If you only put in the single battery system in, you wouldn't have to wire anything to the van battery. You only have to wire it to the leisure battery. So you would save all of this. So have I put you all off putting a dual battery system in? I don't know, pay your money, take your choice. I'm hoping once this is all in that you fit it and forget it, and I have no worries about the leisure or the van battery going flat. Well, we've got some light in now. It's not brilliant, but it's much better than it was, and that's because I've connected up my leisure battery Now I've also connected the 240 up, and we've put the battery charger on so I don't waste all of the charge I put in at home. So the 240 is charging up the leisure battery, and the leisure battery is powering the lights. Now, because I don't know, I keep changing the way I'm thinking about doing things. Now, because I'm now getting a bit worried that I haven't got enough cable. I should have, but what I'm going to do now, just in case I haven't, is put the longest cable in first. Now, the longest cable goes from the solar controller to the leisure battery that I've just shown you. And now, how are we going to do that so it's not seen? Because as you can see, there's the cabinets and everything is in the way, what you can see. Now, I'm looking very smug, and I hope this works, because I'm going to look stupid if it doesn't. I don't know if you remember when I was putting the cabinets in on the video, I showed you a little trick, a little tip, not a trick, a little tip to put some conduit in, and to leave, I don't know if you can see that from there, to leave a drawstring in it. So I've got a drawstring in, and what I'm going to try and do is connect that solar cable to the string, along with another piece of string, because I still want a drawstring in even when the solar wire is in. I still want another drawstring in case I need to do something else in the future. So I'm going to put another piece of string and the solar cable, connect to that bit of string, and fingers crossed, pull it through. Now, if it doesn't work, I'm right up the creek, because then I will have to start pulling things to bits to get the cable through. But we'll not go there. Positive thinking. This is going to work. This is the end that is going to be pulled through. So try and make the end where you tape it on like a cone, in case there's any bits it could catch on. And there we go. Now, this wire is thicker than I was originally thinking we'd be pulling through, so I'm making my excuses now in case it doesn't work. That's the other end that we're going to be pulling it through from. So here we go. Well, I'm pleased to say it's worked. It could have been very embarrassing. So it's through there out the doorpost, and I've left enough length to connect to the battery. And now it's safe to cut the other end off at the solar controller, and then route the van battery part. So sod's law, I've had to buy some more cable, because the cable between the controller and the van battery was 1.5 foot too short. So a little tip, always overestimate on your length of your cable if you're going to route it around and hide it the way I do. Good thing is though, because it's the van battery and it's not too long, the cable, I've been able to use 2.5 cable instead of the 4mm that I've used for the long length. Because, as I said, the controller gives priority to the leisure battery, so you're only getting 10% of the available charge, so you're not carrying a lot of current to the van battery. So just to let you know, 2.5mm for that one, 4mm for that. Now, I did check with the experts, the supplier, just to make sure I wasn't going to throw any of the readings out by putting different cables for that than that, and it's fine. So 2.5 for that one. Anyway, I've came in today, and I'm going to route this cable now between the solar controller and the van battery. Now, it's going to have to come down the doorpost, on the inside of the doorpost, out on the bottom of the doorpost, and underneath the mat, like I showed before, to the batteries. Now something else I'm going to do today as well, I'm going to put the 2 inline fuses connected to the 2 batteries before we connect the cable, because at this stage you should have no cables connected. And I'm also going to put an isolator between the solar panel and the controller, just in case in the future you want to do any work on the system, you can isolate the solar panel. So I'll show you that when I've done it. I'll do that today. Well, time's beating me. I've had a look and the video's getting awfully long, so I'm afraid I'm going to have to make it in 2 parts, and I'm really sorry because I hate doing part 1s and part 2s. But there's a lot to say in this video and a lot to show, so I can't avoid it, I'm afraid. So what's coming in the next video? Right, and it comes out the bottom of the door post there. When you're routing the wires round, always leave them very loose. There's no tension on them wires through the doorstep, in round there and up and underneath the carpet, and there's a bit of a recess so you're not going to squash it when you stand on the carpet. Solar controller, as I said before, is going to be in an overhead cabinet, so you don't want to be going in the cabinet every time you want to check what's happening. So I've got a remote meter. Well, there we go. That was a stroke of luck. I'll have to buy a lottery tonight. We're getting 17 volts, over 17 volts. So that proves that the connection is good, and also proves that I was right to ignore the polarity signs on those connectors, because if I had connected it wrong it would have been minus. Right, you're a solar expert now.